A production manager, lighting designer, technician, and father, there isn't much that Doug Harry hasn't accomplished in his career and personal life. His story begins in Lowestoft, a small East Coast town located in England right on the North Sea.
So when the wind blows and it comes down from the north, it's coming right from the Arctic, so it's a bit chilly. That didn't stop my mum making us walk up and down the seafront every Sunday. I learned to sail and kayak and swim and canoe, because if you didn't do all those things, you really couldn't get very far. I got involved with theatre when I was very young, when I was about 8 or 9, and then started working professionally in theatre when I was 14. I may have skipped some school and maybe skipped out on some of my classes because I was working so much in theatre when the last couple of years that I was in my hometown. And then I moved to London when I was 18. And I went to drama school, a school called Guildhall School of Music and Drama, and I studied stage management. Big shock going from a little town to a big city.
Doug began working in the West End in London at the age of 20, about 6 months after he graduated from drama school.
I had been working for quite some time with a theatre company in England called the New Vic. And the New Vic specialised in touring shows. And I came out here on tour. I used to tour in Europe and the UK with them, and then I came on my first US tour in 1992. And I was touring with Canterbury Tales and Robin Hood. We had 2 shows on that tour. So the first place I ever was in America was Seattle. My favourite show, I think probably my favourite show all time, and I've never worked on it, is Sweeney Todd. I'm a big fan of Stephen Sondheim. Most recently, I think my favourite show, last year I designed Jesus Christ Superstar for Connecticut Rep, and we had a full week of tech rehearsals, and I got a chance to go deeper into a show than I normally would, and the end results I was very pleased with. It's probably one of my favourite shows I've done. I got into theatre in London at a time when a lot of new technology was coming in. The first of the computerized lighting boards, the first of the computerized scenic elements. Video was a brand new thing in theatre back then. It was the time they called the mega musicals, which was Chess, Miss Saigon, Les Mis, Cats were all considered like mega shows with an awful lot of technology that hadn't been used before. After I left the West End, I worked a lot with a company called Midnight Design in London, and their thing was to take on a lot of the shows that other people didn't necessarily want to do. And I think I did so much of that when I was young that later in life, very little really scares me or bothers me. It doesn't really matter how big the show is or the event or what people want doing. As a production manager particularly, it's not my job to be worried. It's not my job to panic, it's just my job to make it work and to figure things out.
Today, he's the production manager for the International Festival of Arts and Ideas in New Haven that runs throughout the month of June.
I got involved with the festival 13 years ago as their production manager. I sometimes say we're not the biggest theatre festival in the country, we're not the biggest dance festival, we're not the biggest music festival, but we're the only festival that does all the things. We do outdoor events on the New Haven Green with big headliner concerts at the weekends and kids' activities and street performers and all the things. But in addition to all that, we have our Ideas program, which is kind of like a whole series of TED Talks. It all happens in 15 days. We figure we do about 300 performances and presentations, which is a lot. And it's fun, and it's crazy, and I get to hire a whole bunch of people to come work on it and hopefully have fun. And there you go, that's the New Haven Festival.
Oh, it's running over a bit. Oh no, it's falling apart. Beautiful, you're welcome. Good job.
I have memories growing up of going to shows like Cats and Mary Poppins and Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat and seeing the Nutcracker and things like that. just because it was like bring your daughter to work day sort of a thing. So we would sit through tech rehearsals and we would get to see a bunch of shows growing up that we might not have seen otherwise.
I toured all over Europe and worked in most of the cities in Europe and all over the UK. I was lucky enough to go to Australia, Indonesia. I very briefly went to India and Japan. But, what else do I like? I swim a lot. I've got back to swimming more nowadays, than I belong to a gym and a pool, and I swim 2 or 3 times a week. I love to cook. I kind of like to collect.
Oh, no, wait. I just broke it. Oh, let me broke our thing. No, I didn't. It's fine. I fixed it.
Maybe I should take it off.
She broke it. I went to go and turn it and it broke. It's not my fault.
Personally, I think probably one of the best times we ever had was this past summer. We were on vacation in Maine and we decided to go out on a lobster boat, and we went and we were fishing and we learned how to pull up the traps. We learned how to take the lobsters out safely, measure them. We even rebaited the traps, put them back, and everybody lived. We didn't eat any lobsters, but it was a lot of fun and we laughed a lot.
That's on a few different levels. Obviously, being involved with theatre for as long as I have been has influenced a lot of the way I think, the friends I have, maybe, I don't know, my political views, my views on life. I feel I'm very fortunate because I still work at a job I love. It doesn't get old. I rarely have a boring week. There's always something new, a new challenge, new show, something to learn. I mean, I kind of joke that I started as a hobby when I was 9 years old and people are basically still paying me to do my hobby. I'm just good at it now.
Okay. Okay.
You're an actor.
I know I am. I'm just, you're so serious.
So yeah, I keep busy, I have fun. And of course my 2 adorable daughters are the loves of my life. Yeah.
What's a good memory that you have with him, like falling out of the pool or... Please talk about falling out of the pool. That was really funny.
No, or the time that I slid down the hill. The time I slid down the hill with the bubble juice and the water slide.
Do I need to like reposition myself?
Yeah.
Hey,
This is like a day later.
I like
it's
it.
cool now.
this is like my relaxed, chill look.
He gave us kittens one time. That was a very controversial issue. Yeah, that turned into a to-do. I don't know what the questions are.
You did it. I told you to read them like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, but I'm not going to remember.
What brought me to America?
Oh, Lord.
Well, it was a plane that brought me here.